Have you ever gotten a lab result back, looked at a number, and just thought, what on earth is that? Well, today we are tackling one of those, homocysteine. And we're going to talk about why a high number isn't some scary verdict, but actually a huge opportunity to take charge of your health, especially if you're eating a plant-based diet.
Let's just start with some really fantastic news right off the bat. The good news? Homocysteine is one of the most fixable health markers. I love this because it totally sets the tone. This is not about being afraid. It's about feeling empowered. And that's the key takeaway, right? This is something you have direct control over. So if your levels are a little bit high, you're in the driver's seat. And today, we're going to walk through the exact plan to get that number right where it should be.
Okay, first things first, what even is homocysteine? Before we can talk about lowering it, we've got to understand what it is and what it's supposed to be doing in the body. So homocysteine isn't some bad guy. It's a totally normal amino acid that your body makes. It's actually really important for this process called methylation, which is just a fancy word for a cycle that helps your body do everything from repair DNA to control inflammation. It even helps make glutathione, which is like the body's master antioxidant. So yeah, we definitely need it around. And this really gets to the core of it. The goal is not to get rid of homocysteine. The trouble starts when it gets stuck and builds up. Kind of like a metabolic traffic jam. Our job is just to clear the road and keep things flowing nice and smooth.
So what's the goal? What are we aiming for? This is the number to remember, 6 to 8. Researchers see this as the real sweet spot for optimal health. It's a nice, clear target for us to shoot for.
And why do we care so much about this target? Well, because when that metabolic traffic jam gets really bad, we're talking levels over 15, the research links it to some pretty serious stuff, like a higher risk for heart attack, stroke, and even cognitive decline. And that is exactly why we're paying attention to it.
All right, so we get the problem. Now what's the solution? Turns out it's pretty straightforward. It all comes down to what I like to call your B vitamin toolkit. Let's meet the 3 key players that act as our metabolic traffic police.
What's so cool is how these 3 work together as a team. B12 is the main recycler. Its job is to grab that extra homocysteine and turn it back into something useful. Folate, or B9, is B12's essential sidekick. They work hand in hand. And then you've got vitamin B6, which is like the cleanup crew. It comes in and converts any overflow into another useful amino acid. They each have a very specific job, and they all keep that traffic moving. Okay, for anyone on a plant-based diet, this is non-negotiable. You absolutely need a B12 supplement. It is that important for this recycling pathway. Now, you'll usually see 2 main types on the shelf. Cyanocobalamin, which is super stable and usually cheaper, and methylcobalamin, which is the form your body can use right away. Both work, but honestly, the most important thing is that you pick one and just take it consistently. Now, supplements are definitely part of the picture, but the real foundation is always food. So let's talk about how to build your plate to support a healthy metabolism from the ground up. And this is where eating a whole food plant-based diet is just awesome. I mean, look at this list of foods with folate. We've got lentils, chickpeas, spinach, asparagus, oranges. It's in so many common, delicious foods. If you're eating lots of different plants, you are probably getting plenty of folate. And it's pretty much the same story for vitamin B6. Chickpeas, potatoes, bananas, oats, brown rice. I mean, these are staple foods for so many of us. A diet that's rich in these whole plant foods makes it super easy to get all the B6 you need to keep those pathways running right. But what if we want to be even more efficient? What about the foods that do double duty? Okay, let's zoom in on the real superstars, the foods that are packed with both folate and B6. Here you go. This is your power-packed shopping list. Lentils, chickpeas, spinach, avocado, bananas, potatoes. These are the nutritional heavy hitters. They give you the most bang for your buck when it comes to managing homocysteine. Seriously, make these foods your best friends. So, diet is absolutely the foundation, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. There are other lifestyle habits that can totally supercharge your efforts. Let's call them power-ups. So, let's break down how these help. A high fiber intake is really strongly connected to lower bloating levels. Things like going easy on the coffee and limiting alcohol can actually reduce how much they interfere with your body's use of B vitamins. And of course, exercise and avoiding smoking improve your overall circulatory health, which just helps every single one of these systems work better. Okay, you have the game plan, but how do you actually know if it's working? You track it.
This is where you get to take full control and actually measure your success.
Being proactive here is so important. Here is a list you can take right to your doctor. Ask for a homocysteine test, that's your baseline. And while you're at it, checking your B12, MMA, which is an even more sensitive marker for B12 status, and your folate levels will give you the complete picture of what's going on.
And this is why testing is so awesome. It's not just data, it's motivation. When you make these changes and then you see that number drop from, let's say, 12 down to a 7, well, that's real tangible proof that what you're doing is actually working.
So we end up right back where we started. This isn't some scary, fixed number on the lab report. It is a direct reflection of your metabolic health, and you absolutely have the power to improve it. You have the toolkit now. The only question left is, what's your first step going to be?